Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, June 4th, 2017. This is episode 1393. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Tracker, a coin-sized tracking device that pairs with your smartphone and keeps you from losing your most valued possessions. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter the promo code TechGuy to save 20% on any Tracker package. And by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/techguy. And by Wistia, the video hosting platform that powers creative communication for more than 300,000 businesses. Start your free account today at wistia.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. I'm the thing that you really didn't want to hear today. The geek with his own radio show, you know that? But I promise I won't speak geek. Occasionally I lapse into geek, but then, slap me around if I do. This is a show where I try really hard to help you understand technology, whether it's computers, and by the way, when I say computers, that could be in any form, not just, desktop computers running Windows, but a laptop or more commonly your smartphone or even a smartwatch or an Amazon Echo. Those are all computing devices, right? We talk about the internet a lot. I talk a lot about smartphones because people always want to know what smartphone to get. Got a big event coming up tomorrow from Apple that will be probably of great interest to many. Talk about, what else? Smartwatches. Oh, augmented and virtual reality. That's a big thing. Speech interfaces now. 80, if you want to talk with me, I'd love to hear from you. Questions, comments, suggestions. 8888 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. We try not to make it too much like, and it sometimes can become a little bit of like a tech support call on the radio, which is not the most interesting thing. We try to make it more, let's talk about general ideas and trends and things like that. But I end up doing a bit of tech support too. 888-827-5536. Everything that happens on the show ends up on the website. That's important for you to remember, so you don't feel like as you're driving around town, getting your stuff done, that you feel like you have to write stuff down. You don't. Please don't bother taking notes. We have somebody taking notes for you. The fabulous, the lovely, and talented James DeRufo has become a highly accomplished note taker, and he writes it all down and puts it up at techguylabs.com. Tech Guy Labs. I'm the tech guy. It's my labs.com. And we also put audio and video of the show after the fact up there. It's really a complete compendium. And the best part is I know some other people charge you for access to our archives and information. No, it's free. It's got a nice search tool there. I guess it's good and bad. If you search for smartphone, you're going to find information. I mean, I've been doing this show since 2004. So you're going to find information there about, the Danger Sidekick as well as the iPhone 7. And iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They'll all be in there in those archives. TechGuyLabs.com. Tomorrow, Apple will do its big keynote. They haven't had a keynote in 8 months. It's the Worldwide Developers Conference. It's going to be in San Jose again at the McHenry Theater down there. Might be. I wonder if it will be the last event Apple holds that isn't at their brand new spaceship campus, Apple Park. Have you been following along? You can there's two guys doing drone videos, quadcopter videos of the construction as it's been going on over the last 2 years. And every month they've been putting up a new video. It's all on YouTube. If you just search for, Apple Campus drone video. Duncan Sinfield is one, and I've forgotten the other guy's name. But they're great. They're 4K, super high quality. You can watch this spaceship campus be built. The main building is a giant ring. There are no square windows. There's no corner office because there's no corners. The whole thing is just a round ring inside a beautiful park. And what looks like, and I don't know what it is, there's a circle there that looks, frankly, like the opening for a intercontinental ballistic missile launch silo. I doubt that Apple actually has missiles, but, well, you never know. I don't know what that ring is in the middle. And then outside, it's trees, and there's a park. They have a separate research facility. That's so that they can, do stuff secretly the other employee. Apple's famous for this, that other employees don't see. They've always got something going on. And just because you work at Apple's main campus doesn't mean you know what's going on. It's all over that. Johnny and his team are over in that building over there. They have a gym that's bigger than any gym in my town. Yeah, I think it's, 50,000 square feet. It's huge. Much of the parking, not all of it, but much of it's underground. So there's a big tunnel leading underground. There is, and most importantly for this discussion, there's a theater there for press events. The theater itself is underground. All that is above ground is this circular building that has the world's largest carbon fiber roof. It came in a bunch of sections like a pizza, and they snapped it together, and it's the world's largest, and it's beautiful. It's just a ring of glass. You go in there, there's no pillars or supports or anything. It's just, well, I'm imagining because I've only seen it from a drone. I doubt Apple will ever allow me in to see anything inside. Probably the first event there will be in September, the next iPhone event. And that's appropriate because it will be the 10th anniversary iPhone, and I know Apple's going to want to make a big deal out of that. So we know there will be no iPhone announced tomorrow. Might be an iPad announced tomorrow. They skipped their traditional iPad announcement in the fall. The only new thing they did was really an old thing. They made essentially a low-cost iPad, $329 iPad, mostly for schools, kind of an entry-level iPad. But they didn't announce anything new. No new iPad Pros. There were strong rumors there'd be one with a 10.5-inch screen, which is kind of nice in between the biggest iPad and the normal-sized iPad. That'd be nice to have something there. I'd buy that. But we don't know if they'll say anything about it tomorrow. Nor do we know if they'll say anything about Macintosh, although it's expected, and I would be surprised if they didn't, they will announce the next Mac OS, which, if you're counting, would be Mac OS 11. Mac OS 10, 11. See, it's confusing. We're currently on Mac OS 10. They stopped calling it Mac OS 10, but it would be Mac OS 10, 10. And I guess it would be Mac OS 10, 11. That's why they stopped. They stopped with the X. It's just Mac OS. And really, they more often call it by its code name. We're on Sierra. Remember, last time was El Capitan. So I think it'll be these are California landmarks. Half Dome. No, see, Half Dome is not a good name for an operating system. It might be an appropriate name. It's not a good name. So they'll talk about that. They'll talk about iOS 11, which is the next version of the iPhone and iPad operating system. I don't imagine that either the new Mac OS or the new iOS will really have anything mind-boggling in there, because we're kind of, I hate to say it, but we're kind of done, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we just got, you're at the risk now of doing, and a lot of companies do this. I'm looking at you, Microsoft, of just adding fins and Chrome, like they did in the, cars in the 50s. The car was done, right? So they added fins and Chrome just so you could tell, oh, I need the new one because it's got fins. It's kind of what I think in both the phone and computers, certainly operating systems, it's kind of where we are. So expect maybe a little bit of Chrome, a little bit of fins, but I don't think there'll be anything revolutionary. I don't know where that would come from. Now, what is revolutionary is, of course, the speech interface. And wasn't Apple Apple had the lead. Apple bought Siri. They were the first to have a voice assistant on their phone, but they bungled it. I think that's a fair thing to say. They bungled it. Siri is now, among the worst. Amazon 2 years ago came out with the Echo and just kind of stole the show. Google's playing catch up, but I think Google in the long run is the horse to bet on because they have so much information about us, and they have been doing such interesting stuff with the machine learning. I think they're going to have a head start. Well, no, Apple has a head start. They're going to come on strong. Let's put it that way. Microsoft has Cortana. It's, you know, whatever you could say about Cortana, at least it's better than Siri. Siri really is terrible. I called Siri a dope. She's kind of a dope. But I expect Apple will announce some stuff with Siri. The rumor is a Siri device like the Amazon Echo. Would you? I'm curious. If you're a dyed-in-the-wool Apple fan, would you buy Siri? What if it had really great speakers and it was $500? Would you buy a Siri device? That's what I think there's going to happen. 8888 Ask Leo. What do you think's going to happen tomorrow? No matter what, an Apple event's always interesting. It's always fun to cover. 888-827-5536. Your calls next. Oh, I like it. OS 10 Salton Sea. Now OS 10 Donner Party.
I like, you know, it's one of those minor upgrades, so it's OS 10 Sierra Madre.
Sierra Madre.
That was in the chat, yeah.
I don't think they're going to do TikTok. I think that they just do it now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great speakers for a voice assistant, I guess. OS 10. I don't know. Mac OS. It's not Mac OS. It's Mac OS now. Mac OS Laguna Beach. Mac OS
Laguna. Just
Laguna. Well, okay. So it was Yosemite, El Capitan, and Sierra.
Yeah. So Mojave.
I really think Half Dome would be great, but they're not going to do. Joshua Tree. Bryce. Oh, well, there was a product called Bryce, though. But Bryce would be kind of cool. Pismo Beach. Mac OS Pismo Beach. Pismo would be cute. They actually, the first Mac laptop, I think the 5300 was called the Pismo with a clamshell. Santa Cruz. Oh, I like Santa Cruz. Mac OS Santa Cruz. I kind of like that. I kind of like Santa Cruz, not Lodi, because then you get stuck in Lodi. You get stuck there. I think Santa Cruz. Bakersfield. Needles. Mac OS Needles. Catalina. 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 I'm liking that. That is a nice. You want something with a nice connotation. Catalina has a nice connotation. Thunderdome. Half Moon Bay. No, no, no. I think Catalina. I'm going to vote for Catalina. You know, I mean, they've figured this out ages ago. I have not seen any leaks. That's what's interesting about tomorrow. For the first time in a long time, the leaks are very scant. The Bronx. Fort Apache. Mac OS Fort Apache. Morro Rock. That's pretty. Pebble Beach. I'm going for Catalina. And you're right, Santa Cruz might have a problem with the Santa Cruz organization. Plus, it's two words, although so was El Capitan, right? I like Alcatraz, Tar Pits, La Brea, Mac OS La Brea. Hokey Pokey. I'm going with Catalina. Who said Catalina? That was a good one. Web 873742 Hut. I'm liking that one. No. San Andreas is right out. No fault. Oh, macOS Petaluma. Wouldn't that be funny? Nobody knows what Petaluma is. When people ask us, like when we go on this trip tomorrow, people will say, where are you from? We'll say the San Francisco area. That's what we'll say. Yeah, I'm sure you say I'm from LA, right? Yeah, because it's just easier. Although Long Beach, people know Long Beach. That's not. Diablo, Baja, Death Valley, Weed, macOS Weed. Love it. I'm thinking Catalina. That's the first one I've. That hit a note. Oh hi, Manteca. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We've been having fun in the chat room, coming up with towns Mac OS. Because okay, so the last 3 Macintosh operating systems were named after California landmarks. That was kind of the new thing. They had Yosemite, then El Capitan, which is in Yosemite. It's a climb in Yosemite, and then Sierra, the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And we've had a lot of Big Sur, Death Valley, a lot of California landmarks that traffic jam. La Jolla, no. Ojai, no. But somebody said, and I wish I can give them credit. Somebody said, and I like this, Catalina. Oh, there's even pictures of Catalina in macOS right now. I'm interested. I like Catalina. What do you think? Kim Schaffer's here. She's answering the phones for us today. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
You probably want to name it like macOS Bahamas.
No.
Because you're a Bahama mama.
No, we have so many beautiful places here in California.
It's got
Catalina is beautiful.
Catalina, so we were thinking Santa Cruz for a while, but there's an operating system from the Santa Cruz organization, so that would be a problem. Monterey, maybe?
Monterey.
Carmel sounds too much like caramel.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go with that one. Not San Onofre. Nobody knows how to pronounce it.
Isn't that
or
like
spell
a military base?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's interesting. You could do maybe let's see, Coronado, macOS Coronado, Sonoma. I'd like it if it was Sonoma. Napa.
Sweet.
Napa.
I
think people think wine. I don't think you want an operating system that makes people think of getting drunk somehow. You got to, I'm going to vote for Catalina. We'll find out tomorrow, I'm sure.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
I've been there
Why
a few
not?
times. Yeah.
Why not? So you have been answering you've been busy. You've been working hard. You came in early, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Just like every week.
Like every week. So
hours and hours.
Hours. You've been slaving over a hot phone, and you've produced for us some lovely callers. Who should I start with?
Sarah, who happens to be in that Apple ecosystem already and is thinking about a Mac laptop and just doesn't know which one yet.
Good idea.
Yep.
Let's talk to her. macOS Rancho Cucamonga. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Leo. I'm good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So it's time for a new laptop. You were smart to wait because I think the rumors are very strong that tomorrow Apple will announce new laptops.
Oh, how funny. Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. Always wait. If you know there's an Apple event, and there's always, the developers conference is always in the mid, kind of June area time frame. Oh. And then in September, there's always an iPhone event. There has been in the past in October iPad events, but they didn't do that this year. So, and they are due, frankly, for a laptop refresh. Intel has a newer chip, a 7th generation chips that Apple is not using. Everybody else is. So the thought is that they probably won't change how their laptops look. They put out those Touch Bar Macs last fall, and in all likelihood, here's my guess, they will just take what they've got and put faster processors in them.
Oh, okay.
I don't expect any big announcements. They might. There is a possibility. I would guess they're going to kill the MacBook Air because they want high-res screens across the line, and the MacBook Air is the last one with the low-res screen. So what do you have right now?
So I have a HP. And it's a touchscreen.
Oh, wait a minute. You're moving away from Windows to Mac?
Yeah. Well, I've always had iPhones, and I'm just, I don't know.
Do you like the touch screen?
You know what? I forget it's even there.
Okay, so you don't need that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I've always liked the hardware, the Mac hardware, and I think Mac OS is a very nice operating system that, among other things, is less commonly hacked. It's not
exactly.
It's not complete. It's not 100% secure. Nothing is, but you just don't see anywhere near. I mean, we're talking maybe once a month we hear about something compared with 1,000 times a month on Windows.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and I wanted to get something because I'm going to be eventually going to school full time. Well, I've technically been in school full time, but then I'm going to go into a nursing program, and I don't know if I'll need it or not, and so I don't. I'm thinking, well, I'd like to have something for the long run. And
I certainly would talk to the nursing program you're thinking of going into, or somebody who's in a nursing program, to find out what they recommend, because you never know. They may have software that has to run on Windows. You just don't know what they're going to require. It'd be my guess nowadays most schools are agnostic. They don't care what you use. Because
Right,
everything,
right.
in fact, this is the way the world has moved, is that everything is now in the cloud and on the internet and running in browsers. So generally, it doesn't matter what kind of computer you could have a Chromebook. You don't really need a Mac or Windows. But
yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. The Surface Pro. I mean, if you for something that I would need basically to write a few papers or just to to download, I guess, apps for the medical purposes, or books or whatever. I mean, what do you think? I mean, what is your preference? I guess I want to know as far as all of these, between the Windows.
You know what I just did? I was a Mac. I've had every Mac ever. I bought my first Mac in 1984, and I've never stopped buying Macs. I love Mac OS. I was a little disheartened because Apple seems to be moving away from Mac. They're so successful with iPhones that they're kind of, well, we don't, we'll keep making them, but only because we have to. And and so I was very disappointed. I, of course, bought the top-of-the-line laptop when Apple announced its laptops last fall with the touch bars. And ended up giving it to my producer and buying the lower down one that didn't have the touch bar. I hate the touch bar. And frankly, I've been using touch screens for a while now, and I kind of like them. I think Microsoft's Windows 10 is a return to the glory days of Microsoft. They went through a kind of a bad stretch with Windows 8. I think Windows 10 is very good, very reliable. And as I said, nowadays, it doesn't really matter because so much of what I do is on the cloud. It's the same on Mac or PC. That's good for you, too, because you could go in either direction. So the reason I was interested in Windows is because there's so many more companies making Windows machines. There's a lot more choice.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it's overwhelming how much choice. I ended up buying a Lenovo Yoga, which has a touch screen. It's an OLED screen. Apple doesn't offer those. Beautiful screen. I like the keyboards. I'm not crazy about the Mac keyboards these days. They're to make them thinner, they've made the key travel, the amount of distance the key travels when you type, so shallow that I feel like I'm stubbing my fingers when I type, and I can't type accurately. So I'm an old timer, and you should try the Mac keyboard before you buy a Mac.
Okay.
Now, if you don't need a lot of power and portability is important and you can live with the keyboard, I actually would look at a MacBook.
Okay.
That is their replacement for the Air, and it is their thinnest, lightest Mac. But here's the two negatives. One, that keyboard, and go to an Apple store and try it like crazy. Write a short story before you decide. And the other one is it only has one connector on it. It's a Type-C connector that's for power, and you end up having to buy additional dongles, we call them, little adapters to use it. And some people, that really bugs the heck out of them. But it does make it thinner, lighter, and more portable. So actually, I think that's a little jewel of a laptop, and probably the one I would recommend. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to mention our fabulous sponsor on the show today. Our show today brought to you by The Tracker. You better believe, as I head out on vacation, I'm bringing The Tracker with me on my keys, on my wallet, on my suitcase, on my briefcase, on my backpack. The Tracker is a Bluetooth tracker about the size of a quarter. It's tiny, tiny little thing. And you attach it to your keychain. You attach it to your pet. Yeah, you can. They have a little waterproof dongle you can put in. It doesn't weigh much. It's about the size of a quarter, but it weighs about half as much. And it has some interesting features. For one thing, unlike many other Bluetooth trackers, you can change the battery. So, believe it or not, there are a lot of Bluetooth trackers out there that you buy it, and when the battery dies, you throw it out. No. And the Tracker will get you a long time on the battery because it uses Bluetooth LE, low energy, to pair to your phone. You can pair up to 10 trackers to your phone, and you can pair your trackers to multiple phones so the kids can help you search for your keys. You can track, they have two-way separation alerts, which I love. So you see the button that's on the Tracker. When you've paired your Tracker to your phone, if you walk out the door, leave your keys behind. Let's say the Tracker's on your keys. You leave your keys behind. The phone will say, hey, beep, boop, and it will show a map of where your keys are. Oh, that's nice. But if you walk out and leave your phone behind, the Tracker will buzz at you, and you can even press the button on the Tracker and make the phone scream, even if it's silenced. So you can go, oh, my phone, and you can hear it, and you can go right back to it. I love that. That actually saves me a lot of searching for stuff right there because I just don't leave stuff behind. Now, let's say you do have a tracker on your keys and you leave it behind. Let's say you're in Vegas. You one spin on the roulette wheel before you went home, but you put your keys down. Now you get home. Where's my keys? Well, you fire up the tracker app and it'll say, they're in Vegas, dummy. That's the last place we saw it. All right, another scenario. What if the dealer says, oh, he left his keys there, picks them up, and then flies to Buenos Aires? Now what do? Your keys aren't at the casino anymore. Well, a tracker, oh, I love this, has the world's largest crowd GPS network because, well, they've sold 4.5 million of them. They're all over the world, even Machu Picchu. So if you leave your keys and somebody takes them somewhere else, anytime somebody with the tracker walks by your keys, their phone will note where your keys are and send you a message. Oh, I love this. And if you need more help, they've got a new tracker, the Tracker Pixel. This thing has big, bright lights on it. So when you lose something, like maybe down the seat cushion or under the covers, it'll light up. And you can see it from a distance. Very clever. So the tracker, original tracker, the Tracker Pixel, by the way, available in fun seasonal colors. It looks great. And they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there's no risk. The only risk is if you don't get a tracker, you're going to lose your keys. Find out what you've been missing. Find it fast. Go to thetracker.com, enter the promo code TechGuy. You'll save 20% on any tracker packages. This is a great Father's Day gifts. In fact, man, stocking stuffers, this is such a good gift idea. TheTracker, thetracker.com. Promo code TechGuy. By the way, use that promo code because you get 20% off. So load up your basket, then enter the promo code TechGuy. 20% off. Tell your friends, TechGuy. Thetracker.com. Never lose your stuff again. So, sorry, I had a break, but I can continue to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
It's a magical thing.
I know. I heard you earlier. I was like, oh, this is great. I get to listen.
Yeah. Well, we do a podcast of the show in which we leave all this stuff in. So you're still kind of on a version of the show, just not the radio show.
So I'll be good. Okay.
Yeah, well, you can swear, but don't.
Oh, okay, well, I probably won't,
Yeah.
I feel like such a nice.
So the problem with the Air is it's not as powerful, but I would guess that you're not going to, I think you're going to, as a student, you're going to carry it around, right? Are you going to bring it to class?
Right. Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because what I'd like to do, well, it's funny is that I've been able to use my iPhone to, tape record obviously all the.
I know, isn't that?
And yeah,
the thing about phones today is that this really is a very powerful computer.
Right, exactly. And everybody else has more newer ones because I'm the only one that literally sticks it in front of the professor, and everybody else is back there with their their watches and everything else are like click and they're
no, but you're getting a better recording by putting it up there. No, I don't care what they're doing and what they've got. You're getting a better recording.
Thank you. Exactly. I'm old school like that.
I think I just a trip to the Apple Store was probably in order.
Okay.
There's one near you, and I think banging on that keyboard. But I think what's going to happen, you're going to look at the MacBook and say, "Gosh, this is so thin and light." It's almost like an iPad with a real keyboard,
right?
And no touch. But you didn't care about the touch.
No, it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I forget because it's such a big computer. And I don't know. I'm not on it as much as my daughter. I have a 14-year-old that uses it a lot.
Give it to her. Give it to her and get yourself a nice, sexy little lightweight. It's it's funny because my wife has access to all the same hardware, and she ends up using her MacBook. She loves her MacBook.
Oh, okay, yeah. And you know what? Everybody that I ask about the MacBook, like a few people at work and my friend who's a fourth grade teacher, she's like, oh my God, I love my MacBook.
Yeah.
So
it's a very personal laptop. You almost feel like, you could put it in your purse and just have it with you. It's a little jewel of a laptop. It isn't a beast. It's not a power beast, and it's got that one connector, so you're going to be spending some money on connectors, I guess.
Okay.
If you use connectors, notice how you use it. Do you use USB drives? Do you use camera card readers? Or
No. Nothing.
No. It's a 12-inch screen, which is a little small, but for a lot of people consider that the perfect size. It's like a little under 2 pounds. It's super light.
Okay, I like that. I like that idea because
I think you should
our
look
books
at
are
it.
so heavy, you know, medical.
Yeah. Oh, this thing, you'll just disappear. I think you should look at it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much for that.
My
so
pleasure.
You think that definitely over the Surface Pro, right? Because that seems so pricey for what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, no. And the Surface is okay, but then talk about a bad keyboard. Now you're on this little fabric keyboard. It's awful.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured too.
Yeah.
I seen that and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna.
I would hate to type a paper on that.
Yeah, right.
But that's why I got the Lenovo. That for me is a nice keyboard. It really is a good keyboard. So,
well, I'll keep that in mind for the future, though. But okay, well, thank you so much.
My
Leo.
pleasure.
Really
Enjoy your new school.
Okay, well, thank
It's fun,
you.
Sarah. Take care.
Okay, all right, you too. Okay, bye.
And I may be completely wrong. They may have a new MacBook Air, I'm sorry, tomorrow. I would like to see that, but I really think the MacBook takes over for the Air. I don't know where the Air fits. We'll find out. I mean, by the way, that's about the only mystery tomorrow. I don't think there's a lot of mysteries. We will know tomorrow. I mean, 24 hours from when I record this, Apple will have their event June 5th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Tim Cook will stride upon the stage like a colossus and announce how great Apple's doing, how many iPhones they've sold, how much money they're making. And then they'll, because it's a developer conference, really the meat of the matter from the point of view of the people in the hall, the details on the new operating system, the new for both iOS and macOS. And by the way, I think we will perhaps see the introduction with macOS, the next macOS, of the new Apple file system, which is one of those things that you don't need to know about. Doesn't really matter, at a higher level, but geeks get really excited about, and will mean that your data is safer. You'll see fewer hard drive issues, less data loss. It's the new APFS, Apple File System. Very exciting. You already have it if you have a late model iPhone and you've updated it. They put it on the iPhone last big update. And I expect it should hit Mac OS pretty soon. It's also designed for solid-state drives. The old operating system is almost 20 years old. And we didn't have solid-state hard drives back then. It's designed for spinning drives, so the new APFS will be a big deal. And a Siri device, new laptops probably. I just don't anticipate anything too overly exciting tomorrow. What's interesting is how little we've heard on the rumor mill. I mean, just the Siri device and new laptops is the only rumor we've heard, pretty much. That's it. Back to the phones. Misha in Maine. Hi, Misha in Maine.
Close but no cigar. Micah in Maine.
Oh, I've talked to you before. Hi, Micah in Maine.
You've talked to me many times, but usually call me Mike because it ends up getting put down. And
I like Micah better, so from now on I'll remember you're Micah.
I am. I'm your main man, Micah.
Main man Micah. That's what they make. They used to make Stagecoach windows out of.
That's true, and and whenever somebody gets me something, it's for Micah.
Is it? For Micah. I get it.
Okay, yeah, I know. Anyway, I've got a bit of a geeky question that I'm hoping you'll have an answer to, but I don't know. I've checked with everybody. I have a lovely ATR 2100 microphone that I use on my computer with USB, and
those are great. Those Audio-Technica mics are great. I've recommended them in the past, I think.
Absolutely fabulous for the price, and I use them for the podcasts that I work with that we've talked about before.
Right.
And I use it with Audacity most of the time. But intermittently with Audacity, I get a 60-cycle hum, and it's intermittent.
Oh, that's not good.
Changed the cord, changed the USB port, tried the microphone in other places. Tried it with XLR. No problem. It's definitely not the mic.
So this is an interesting thing. This hum is not... Remember, your mic is connected to the USB port, right?
Right.
So it's sending bits down the line. It's not sending anything that hum could get into down the line.
And that's what I don't understand, because when I use it with Skype or Google Hangouts or any other software, the hum's not there, and it's only intermittent and only with Audacity.
Yeah, hum is typically an analog problem. If, for instance, I put a mic cable across a power supply for a laptop, the laptop's power supply will induce current in the mic cable, at 60 hertz, and so you will have exactly what you described, a hum at boo, boo, boo. And every audio engineer knows it. The minute you hear it, you go, oh, you know, and with an analog, system, there are lots of things you can do. Of course, move the power supply away. You could put little ferrite cores on the cable. That eliminates it. But I don't know how you'd be introducing it in a digital setup like yours.
Can't figure it out at all. And again, only with Audacity. And it's a, 60 sounds like a ground loop. Yeah.
Audacity probably does have a ground loop plugin. They've got plugins for everything. Here we can add a ground loop. I can't think of what it would be. Audacity, which is a very nice, free, open source audio recording program, is a little clunky and funky, to be honest. Are you on a Mac?
No, I'm on a PC.
On a Mac, I use actually a better program. It's not free, called Amadeus. The PC program I would recommend is Audition, but it's pricey. Adobe's Audition is the king. They bought, every radio guy listening is thinking, oh, I remember Cool Edit. That was so cool, Cool Edit Pro. Adobe bought Cool Edit Pro and turned it into Audition. And that was what I used from the earliest podcasts on. I mean, that was when I did the editing. In my day, that's what I used, was Audition, Adobe's Audition. That's very good.
My day, I used a razor blade and tape.
Well, in my day, I did use a razor blade and tape. I'm so glad on an Ampex 351, but that's another story for another day. You go back as far as I do, it sounds like. Yeah. Yes,
we are, I think, within 2 months of each other.
Yeah. But Audacity's very. I like Audacity. I do use it on my Linux boxes. When you record it, you don't hear the hum at all when you're recording. It's just in the playback.
It's just in the playback, and when I just go to Audacity, and if I have nothing going on, I can see the hum. I can see it going right through there, and it's intermittent. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of it, and it'll stop, and sometimes hasn't been there for a while. It just showed up again.
Remember that there is inside the computer a digital to analog converter, or DAC. But if you're recording in Audacity, the DAC doesn't come into play. It's only when you're playing it back through the speakers. And,
right.
And
no, it's definitely in the recording.
It's on the recording, so like you take the track, you move it somewhere else, it's still there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
so in theory, this is all digital. There is no analog, so there's no way that you could have a ground loop. No way.
Absolutely. No way at all that I can figure out. I thought about maybe getting a Focusrite Scarlett audio interface, and seeing if separating it out into different preamp would work. But that's going to connect through the USB too. And rather than spend $150, I was hoping there'd be a way around it.
I think you got to look at Audacity and look at the settings. And certainly Audacity has, if it is actually a 60 hertz tone, Audacity has ways to remove that.
I've tried that too, and you can remove it, but then,
there's gaps because you're removing everything at that frequency.
Exactly.
And you're plugging it into your USB port.
Yes.
I mean, you could try a different USB port, although I'm sure you've tried that.
Already have.
I would also look at your mixer.
Not even using a mixer. It's just going directly from the mic.
But you are, because when you look at your Audacity input settings, you're pointing to a piece of hardware on the computer usually.
Okay.
Right, your sound card or your computer's sound device, and that has. I use the word mixer loosely. It's really a driver, and usually the driver has some controls on it. So I would look at your sound driver and just make sure, for instance, the bit rates match, and it would, there's all sorts of weird things that can happen with mismatched bit rates and sample rates, but they wouldn't sound like a 60 hertz ground loop.
But wouldn't it then also happen in Skype or in Hangouts or in something like that? Because it's unique to Audacity.
No, it sounds like it's an Audacity interaction, but it could be an interaction with your driver. Boy, that's really an odd thing. You'd have to rule out the whole mic chain and USB interface. It's something going on in Audacity, and I use Audacity, but I'm not enough of an expert to know. Oh yeah, You got to flip the switch under the menu. That I have no idea. Somebody will know. Somebody will know. It couldn't be. Somebody's saying maybe it could be coming into the mic. Like your mic is actually picking up a hum from somewhere. That doesn't sound right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Could be the mic. I mean, but he says it doesn't. Micah, you say it's not. It doesn't happen with other recording, like Skype. You don't hear it when you record it.
Don't hear it on Skype at all.
You only hear it on Audacity. So it makes me think it's not the
mic. I just switched it to another mic, and it's still there.
Yeah, it's Audacity. But what is going on in Audacity that could make that happen? Somebody's saying, and this actually makes sense, there's a second input active in Audacity. I would go into your Audacity inputs menu, you know, that little control panel, and really look at what's going on there.
I'll check it out. Again, I can't figure out because I didn't change any of the settings and it showed up. I didn't change any of the settings and it disappeared.
Oh, it comes and goes. Oh, even worse. Yeah, and you made this as bad as it could be.
Yeah, that's why, you know, you're my only hope, Obi-Wan.
Let me look at.
Because I've checked with all my podcasting buddies too. I got friends in the UK.
They probably had the same conversation with them, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's not, you know, saying anything bad against them or against you, but you know, I've got all these expert podcasters, and I you know, as you are as well, and I figured, you know, let's check it out. And plus, you've got the chat room, and they're geniuses.
Yeah, that chat room is our best hope here. I'm just looking at what. And
the computer's plugged into a good APC UPS backup, so you know it's totally grounded, totally isolated.
I think there's enough weird doohickeys in Audacity that you've got something going on. Look at chains, which is that's for output. Boy, I just devices, and it is in the recording. So you move the recording over.
Yeah, it's definitely in the recording, and I'm doing it on, it's my desktop, which is a decent Velocity micro computer that, is very well made.
You don't have software playthrough turned on.
No,
because that maybe could audio buffer latency.
Where are you looking? Are you in effects right now?
This is in preferences.
Okay.
Make sure that the sample rate matches, what you expect. Although most of these USB interfaces, it doesn't really matter. Meter waveform range. I'm just looking.
Oh, you're looking at it on a Mac, right?
Nope. This is a Linux box.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably different there.
I think Audacity's the same.
His preferences. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I think Audacity's the same everywhere. I don't know. I do not know. There's something weird going on. I'm looking at the chat room to see if they have anything. Here's Hold Open Mic has sent us something, a link in the chat room. Let me look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Background hum when I'm recording in Audacity. Are you in the chat room?
I am.
Oh, this guy, no, it was a defective headset. Never mind. That's not your problem. Hey, I don't know, Micah. Keep listening, and I'm glad to know it's Micah now. I will say it right from now on.
Thank you so much, Leo. And if you
Thanks,
want to plug the Airplane Geeks, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah, I will. Airplane Geeks.
Airplane Geeks and Airline Pilot Guy, both of them.
You got it. Thanks, Micah.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Spent a little more, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, spent a little more time with Micah. He does the Airline Pilot Guy and the Airplane Geeks podcasts, and has a little hum coming in through his Audacity. I just say get a better program. Audacity's great for the price, and it is a power tool, but its interface is obscure, and I don't know. We couldn't figure it out. Could not. I have failed you, Micah. I failed you. Back to the phones. George in Houston, Texas. Hi, George. Leo Laporte.
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my call. The guy who called earlier a few seconds ago about the hum in the microphone, you just suggested try something else. Try something called WavePad.
WavePad? I don't know that one.
Yes, it's put out by NCH Software, and it works almost the same as Cool Edit Pro.
Oh, I'm going to get it right now. Love it.
But anyhow, I'm calling because a weird message keeps appearing on my desktop. It's a little text file, and it's called debug.
Ah.
And you heard of that before. The date is the first part of the message is usually a little different, but the rest of it is always the same. Exception handler server, connection name pipe. The pipe is being closed. Then OXE8. That's always the same, and I'm wondering what is that? Do you know anything? Have you heard that before?
Yeah, so you have a program. The only trick is going to be figuring out what program's doing this, but you have a program that was written with debugging, with the debugging information turned on, or compiled with debugging information turned on. And what it's doing is it's sending debugging information that is of complete useless to the end user, only useful to the programmer, out to the standard output. It's being written as a text file, and Windows is just opening it because it's on your desktop. Or do you open it? You just see it there and you open it.
I see the text file, and I click on it.
Yeah, okay. So it's not, yeah. So it's being written out by a program that whoever wrote that program should have taken that code out. That was for his benefit. A lot of times, the easiest way to debug a program is to put print statements in the program that just says, hey, if you got here, something went wrong. And I think the programmer just said, print to a text file. So the hard part is figuring out what program's doing that. It's something, does it happen when you boot up the computer fresh?
I haven't tried that, but usually it just started off by itself maybe about a month ago. And
yeah, it's something new that you installed, or it could have been installed by an update, and it's a mistake. It's harmless.
All right,
it's harmless, but you want to know who wrote it. You could try to get some more information from the file itself. See when it was created or written to, and then try to that information will tell you. Well, that's when the program crashed or issued an error, and just try to figure out, well, what was I doing at that time? The problem is, I think what you might need is something a little bit more powerful. You can always use Task Manager to see what's running. So the minute you see that appear, go hit Control-Alt-Delete and run Task Manager. You'll see all the things running. But there's an even more powerful tool from Microsoft that is like the Task Manager on steroids. It's part of their sysinternals toolkit. Microsoft bought this some time ago, and written by a great guy named Mark Rusinovich. He's kind of almost like just a genius hacker. He's a novelist now too. But if you go to I guess just Google Microsoft sysinternals, because it's a long URL. It's on their TechNet. But they have a couple of things that will help you understand what processes are running.
Okay. It's funny you should mention Task Manager, because I have another question I want to ask, kind of similar. I have a different computer, different box, different everything. And I notice sometimes I get drive activity even though I'm not doing anything on the computer. So I started Task Manager on it, and I see something keeps popping up. There's 3 programs that are running with the same name, Microsoft Register Server. And it says Reg Server 32XE.
Yeah, that's normal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never heard.
Don't get I get calls all the time from people who start to dig into the operating system and get freaked out. My gosh, all of my memory's used. Or what is this running? Windows runs a whole bunch of stuff on the background. And that is a normal thing to see on Windows. I wouldn't worry about that. I should have cautioned you. If you start to look at your Task Manager, you're going to see a lot of stuff running. Windows is running stuff all the time.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about your registry and server. So Process Explorer is a free program from Microsoft that is like Task Manager on steroids. It will tell you a lot more about what's going on, including what program has that opened up that text file on your desktop. Okay.
I'll do that. I'll find that.
Yeah. It's free. Somebody's telling me that you can just go to sysinternals.com. That's great. That makes it easy.
Wow, that's a relief. Okay.
Yeah, nothing to worry about.
I thought it was spyware or something. All right.
Well, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. It's something. it could very well be spyware or malware that's so poorly written that they left their debugging code in. That wouldn't surprise me. So it's just something on your computer. So the registry server is normal. Although, I should also point out, if you're a spyware author and you're creating a tool that runs all the time in the background, are you going to name it something like hackthisguy.dll? No. You're going to call it Microsoft Reg Server 32, because then people will say, oh, that's probably part of Windows. So that is normal for a registry server to be running, but is it the registry server? I don't know. Process Explorer will help you understand it. And it is true that you should pay attention to that file being created. That is some program, chances are not a very well-written program, perhaps even a malicious program that is spitting its debugging information out and putting it on your desktop. I would pay attention to that. Figure out what it is and uninstall it, in other words, or get a newer version of it. I'm not saying it's malicious. I'm not saying it's not malicious. Just figure out what it is. And don't worry about Reg Server 32. Ed in Upland, California, is so generous. You gave your iPhone 4S to a friend.
Yes, I did. How you doing, Leo?
I'm well.
Good, good. Been listening to you many, many, many years. Back to Screensavers days.
Thank you.
So anyway, yes, I gave away an iPhone to a friend for her teenage daughter. Worked fine for months. It was a 4S because I've got a 5S. I'm still behind the times.
No, that's what I do too. When I get a new phone, I pass it along.
Right, right. And it worked fine until all of a sudden I heard that it stopped working and they went and got a new charger, they said.
Yeah.
But that didn't seem to do it, so I'm curious as to whether you can replace the battery.
You can't.
Like in older phones.
You can't.
You know?
Yeah, Apple seals those, and they always have, but they can. It's usually, I think it's $99, but you should check. If you can bring it to an Apple store, and it has to be an Apple store, they will have the, They will have the means to open it up, because if you look at it, it's pretty well sealed, right? There are screws on the 4S, but they're special pentalobe screws, and I wouldn't suggest opening it up. There, you may have in Upland, you may have a smart third-party repair place. Bring it in there. On those older phones, they can usually get batteries, and he could probably do it for less than Apple even. So, it'll void your warranty, but you don't have one left anyway. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, Apple's event tomorrow, hacking. Oh man, I just read two bone-chilling stories about people I kind of peripherally know being hacked, and it was terrifying. One is a startup guy named Cody who had you know what Bitcoin is? It's kind of a digital it's a hot topic these days because it's up to $2,500 per Bitcoin. It's a digital currency, not backed by any government, but backed by math. And really, frankly, as with all modern currency, it's backed by faith, right? We call it fiat currency. The dollar bill, a piece of paper with some green ink on it, has no intrinsic value. It's not like a piece of gold, which, frankly, does gold have a lot of intrinsic value? Not as much as you pay for it. It has some industrial use. It's pretty. But a dollar bill, even less intrinsic value, is just a piece of paper. But it's a fiat currency. We believe in it because it's backed by the full faith and currency of the American government. Well, Bitcoin is a fiat currency not backed by any government. But people believe in it. You can buy stuff with it. You can trade it. And of late, it's become worth a lot of money. And I imagine that's attracted hackers. If you have Bitcoin, you store it in a Bitcoin wallet, which is an encrypted bit of data that you and only you have access to. You have a magic long Bitcoin account number. Account's not the right word. Identifying number, I guess. That's yours and yours alone. And isn't necessarily tied to your identity except in your own mind. So people store a lot of Bitcoin. Sometimes they keep it on their computer or their phone. That's not very secure. More often, they'll keep it with a company that specializes in storing Bitcoin wallets like, well, the biggest, the best known, Coinbase. So Cody had $8,000 of Bitcoin. Now, of course, it's worth $8,000 now because, you know, that's just a little more than 3 Bitcoins. You could have bought them for $20 a few years ago. So I doubt Cody paid $8,000 for these Bitcoins. But in any event, they've appreciated in value, and he considers it worth $8,000. It was stolen from him with a hack that everybody ought to know a little bit about because the bad guys know about it. The bad guys called his cell company, Verizon. Although I won't single out Verizon because this happens with every cell company. And the bad guy said, yes, my name is Cody. I am changing my phone. And I wish to move phone number from old phone to new phone. Oh, yes, sir. Well, we'll just need some verifying information. Okay. What do you need to know? Well, what's your password? Oh, I don't remember. Oh. Well, what's your PIN? Oh, I don't know. Secret question answers. Don't know that either. Well, what's your address? Oh, I have that. I have Cody's bill. I can read you that. Oh, that's good. How about your account number? Yes, it's on bill. Okay, where would you like to move your phone number to? Oh, I have special Russian phone you can move it to. They got his phone number without anything but information on his bill. That shouldn't be allowed, right? That doesn't make any sense. Why do they have you have passwords and secret questions and all this stuff if they're just going to give it over? Well, they do in most cases because you're talking to somebody called a customer service rep. And this is customer service. Well, we're here. We aim to please. Thank you. You're so pleasing to me. They pleased that hacker. So once he got the phone number, then he was able to get into Coinbase because Coinbase uses verification over text messaging. That text messaging isn't going to Cody anymore. It's going to his friend, Boris. And Boris was able to use this to get into his Coinbase account and steal all his Bitcoins. And that's one of the little issues with Bitcoin. They are easily stealable if you can get some key information. The article, we'll put a link in the show notes, but the article is a little chilling. And he says, well, here's what I would say Verizon ought to do. They need more security. Add additional layers of scrutiny to any person calling in and requesting to swap phones. Make urgent text alerts through SMS actionable. See, Verizon texted him and said, hey, did you just swap your phone number? If it wasn't you, call us. So he called, but they're closed. So he got a text message warning him, but it was closed. And by the time the office was back open, it was too late. Hackers like to work at night, you know. He went through a lot, by the way. And the sad thing is he was logged into his Coinbase account while he watched the hacker drain it. Now, this could happen not just with Coinbase, not just with Bitcoin, but with real U.S. dollars out of your bank account, or Canadian or Australian. And the key is that people have to be a little bit more careful. You shouldn't, for one thing, we should immediately abandon using text messages for authentication. And I know you're used to this. If you feel good about turning on what we call two-factor, and I tell you to turn on two-factor. That is, you log in to Twitter. Let's say they have two-factor, and it says, okay, fine, I'm going to send you an authenticating code to your phone. See, that makes it harder. A bad guy, if he has your password, probably doesn't have your phone, or does he? Because if he's really, if he's a bad guy worth his salt, he already got your phone number, transferred over to him. Text messaging is not a secure way to do two-factor. And we know this. This is well known. There are other hacks out there that are even, there are hacks out there that no phone company can do anything about that will allow a bad guy to steal text messages. So this is not, and my bank does it. A lot of theoretically high security places do it, and it's so turn on two-factor for sure, because then he'll have to call phone company. But phone companies have to do a little bit of a better job authenticating you. That's just, and if they, And if you can use two-factor, if you can turn off the text messaging two-factor, the SMS two-factor, do. Much better and much safer, and actually pretty secure if you use an authenticator program like Google Authenticator on your phone. You know, that's the one where you enter your password, and they say, okay, good, now launch Google Authenticator or some authenticator, they're all the same, on your phone, and give us that 6-digit number. That is much more secure. Do not use text-based two-factor, but do use two-factor. And be aware, the bad guys, if you have Bitcoin, that's a target right now because it's got a high value. But that changes all the time. The bad guys go where the money is. 8888 asks, Leo, I feel bad. I found the article because another person I know, who is a well-known venture capitalist, also got bitten pretty much the same way, which I hadn't heard about. And he blogged about it. So... Fred Wilson. So that's two people I know who've been bit by this. That means there's a lot more. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to read the story. It's kind of a wake-up call for a lot of us. And the show notes are at techguylabs.com. There are Microsoft has an authenticator. Google has an authenticator. I use one called Authy. There are other, which may be less secure, by the way, for a variety of reasons. It's more convenient. Usually when somebody says, oh, but it's more convenient, that also means, yes, but it's less secure. So get an authenticator on your phone and use it whenever you can. Don't use text-based authentication. 8888 ask Leo. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll go back to the phones and your calls right after this. Facebook uses a code generator, but I noticed they will still text you stuff. See, my bank texts only. It drives me nuts. There is, I didn't know this, and I should have mentioned it, but I'll mention it to you. There is a thing you can turn on. Fred talked about this on his blog, that prevents the phone company from transferring your number. It's like a block. His blog is AVC, Getting Hacked, Lessons Learned. And I really, call your cell provider, he says, and put a do not port under any circumstances, hold on your phone number. So that's like a fraud alert. That would be very useful. I'll put it here. Let me put a link in the show notes to this blog. So I'm watching the chat room completely chase a rabbit down the wrong hole, and I'm sure Main Man is not going to do all these things. There is at no point, once the microphone converts the sound into bits, it's digital all the way through to Audacity. So there is no possible, you don't have to worry about anything like a mic cable or whatever. Because the nature of these mics is they have an analog to digital converter in there, and that's all bits. And there's no way you're a ham. There's no way a ground loop can get in the bits. No, because it's digital. There's digital artifacting. There's other weird stuff that can happen, but that's got a very distinct sound. It's not that. So, and Audacity's recording a digital input coming through the USB port. So at no point is there analog. If there's a hum being introduced, it's being introduced. If there's an analog hum being introduced, it's being introduced here at the part of the microphone that's still analog. But that doesn't make any sense. If it works fine in other programs, it only happens in Audacity. It could be intermittent in Audacity if there's an intermittent analog, there's some sort of ground loop in here, or a short, it'd be most likely a short of some kind. Get a PR40 and you don't have to worry, right? But then he has to have then that is analog coming out this hole into a DAC, or the opposite, an ADC. So there's no point in worrying about the mic cable or, inside the computer. It's either something wrong with Audacity, which is my best guess, despite somebody in the chat room said it's almost certainly not Audacity. It's almost certainly Audacity, or it's possible that there's a short in your microphone. But it would have to be at this part right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Me. I wish I could do this show as a musical. Be so fun. Fortunately for you, I don't have the talent. and I, maybe even more importantly, I know it. So I won't. I'll just do it in prose. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. I learned something from Fred Wilson when we were talking about this hacking thing. And I think this could be actually very useful. You know how you could put a fraud alert on your credit, Experian and Transfax and TransUnion, the credit reporting agencies. You could put a fraud alert on there. Fred points out that you can call your cell phone company and say, I want a do not port this number alert on my account. Under no circumstances port this number. Now, that's going to limit you, just as a fraud alert limits you, because that means you'll have to jump through extra hoops if you decide you do want to get a new phone or move to a new carrier. But that could be useful. Do not port this number. Do not, if somebody named Boris calls and wants to move the number, don't do it. So I had no idea you could do that. You might be worth a call to your cell company saying, is there any way I can prevent this particular thing happening? Somebody from stealing my phone number so they get my text messages, because that's the problem. And do call your bank and Twitter and everybody else and say, please use an authenticator app. They're not going to do it because they say, well, that's too hard for our customers. They're, you know what they're saying. Our customers are too dumb to do that. Well, smarten up, because that's what they need to do. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Back to the phones we go, and on the line right now, Danny from Minnesota. Hello, Danny.
Hi, Leo. I want to record a radio program tonight on the radio, and I want to know if there was a program I could download to my computer so I could save it to my hard drive.
Yeah, you want kind of like a TiVo for radio, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, let me just make sure they're still around. A company named Applian used to make something called used to make something called Replay Radio. And yeah, and it was, they're still around. APPLIAN.com. It's funny, as you get older, as I've been doing this show for 20 some years, a lot of the times companies that I used to all the time recommend, they're out of business. But Applian, thank goodness, is still around, and they have media capture, video capture, music capture, and replay radio, and that's probably the one you want. It's like a TiVo for on your computer for radio.
Oh, okay, cool.
Isn't that cool?
I'd be able to take off the internet, though, right?
Oh, you want to record on the internet? That's even easier. I thought you actually wanted to record the radio. Yes, this will work with the internet.
Oh, yeah, it's a radio station, but radio program.
Yeah, that's easy. Sorry. That's easier. Yeah, but this will do it. Okay. This actually totally does. In fact, that's probably their preferred method. Everybody's on the internet, right?
Okay,
these days. And that's nice because you don't have to, you're welcome. You don't have to be around. You just say, hey, record that show at 8 p.m. just as you do on your DVR, and it'll record. You have to leave your computer on, obviously, right? Kim in, I almost said Lasagna Beach, Laguna Beach. Must be lunchtime. Laguna Beach, California. Hi, Kim. Come on over to the phone, Kim. Poor Kim. I keep people on hold for so long. Thank you for your patience.
Well, no, I just figured it'd be good to get off the speakerphone.
Yes, it is, and I thank you for doing that.
Yeah. So I am a pretty hardcore single-player gamer. I don't play, online games, but I keep having to replace my laptops too soon in order to play the latest game.
Are you banging on the keyboard? You go, nah, nah, nah.
No, I actually have it set up at home as a desktop replacement and then the laptop for when I travel.
Yeah.
And I noticed I have a second HDMI port in my monitor and was thinking about going the console route so I could stop replacing these expensive computers.
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea.
So
that's all you have to do. You just you take the HDMI cable out of the Xbox or the PlayStation and you put it into that monitor and you're done.
Yeah, and then which one of those is a good idea for people who don't play the massive multiplayer online?
So you want a recommendation. So what game do you play now? What are your games?
I've been playing Dragon Age because I can't play the new Witcher 3. I usually play the RPGs. I call them hack/cast.
I know Dragon Age and Witcher are on Xbox. Let me see if they're on PS4. PS4 is the best. Yeah, they're both on PS4 too. So PS4 is the bestseller, the PlayStation 4. And probably if I were to say, I have an Xbox, and probably if I were to say Xbox, everybody yell at me. But I happen to like the Xbox, but I think given those two games, the PS4, they're really nowadays, most games come out on both Xbox and PlayStation. It's the exclusive titles that don't. And Microsoft does not do well with exclusive titles. They have a limited number like Gears of War. And I would say go with the PlayStation, not only because they have more exclusive titles, so you're more likely to find the game you want on a PlayStation on the Xbox, but there's a lot of it. There's a very active independent gaming community on PlayStation that while Microsoft's trying to get going, but hasn't done as good a job of. And that means there's some very interesting indie games that you can get on a PlayStation. So they're very similar in terms of technology. Remember that next year Microsoft is coming out with a new Xbox that will be more powerful. And so you might want to get a PlayStation 4 now and consider an upgrade next year. But I think the other thing that the PlayStation does that the Xbox doesn't yet do, I suspect it will do next year, is virtual reality. And we were playing yesterday a brand new game from Ubisoft called Star Trek, is it Bridge Crew? Where you get to be on the crew of the Starship Enterprise. Now, you said you like single-player games, so this may not be for you. I have to say, though, I was like, this is so much fun. You play with other people. Somebody's the tactical officer, somebody's the navigation officer, somebody's the captain, somebody's a communications officer. It's just like you're on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, and you have to go on missions. And in virtual reality, you feel like you're right there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one advantage PlayStation 4 has, is you can, for a little extra money, you can buy the VR thing as well. So I'm going to say go with PlayStation.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Leo.
You're welcome.
I always enjoy listening to your show.
Thanks for listening. I have to say the one thing, if you're a Windows user, remember the one thing PC gamers don't like with console gaming is that you're using those console controllers, and PC gamers really are, hey, I'm a mouse and keyboard kind of guy. And often, really, that's the best control, especially for a lot of first-person shooters, single-player games like you play. I'm sure you use a mouse and keyboard. You're going to have to move with console. You're going to have to move to console controllers. This may be one advantage that Xbox has, is that you can stream Xbox games through a Windows PC and then have access to your Windows controls as well. I haven't done that. I just, I sit in front of a TV and play the games. So 8888 ask Leo, what do you think, Xbox or PlayStation? There's one that'll stimulate a little bit of conversation. 888-827-5536. Chris Marquardt's back from his sailing adventure in Svalbard. He'll join us with some digital photography tips right after this. PS4 can do that through Windows? Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. Hey, all right, I'm going to cheer up because I'm going to talk about something good. Our sponsor today, Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Now, Quicken Loans is the best mortgage lender in the country. That's a given. And if you don't believe me, you go to quickenloans.com/techguy. You'll see all those J.D. Power Customer Satisfaction Awards, #1 year after year for mortgage origination. They're the best. They're also for mortgage servicing. So they're a great mortgage lender. And I like the company a lot. They're revitalizing downtown Detroit. The owner is great, smart. Anyway, I like the company. But I really liked them when they told me, and now we're going to do a mortgage product for geeks. I said, for me, for my people? You're going to set my people free? Yes. We don't want, now maybe you do, maybe grandma does, to go in, I want to meet the mortgage officer. I want to meet the loan officer. And I'd like to have a long, lengthy interview with him about my financial situation. And and by the way, I really love going up in the attic and finding all my financial records and dragging them down and bringing them in. I really love that. If that's you, this is not for you. This is for me and people like me, and I bet you're like me, who I just want to get the loan. I want to get it as fast as possible. I want to get it from a good company. I want it to be easy. Quicken Loans has created Rocket Mortgage for us. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your tablet. You can do it on your computer. You do not have to go in anywhere. You don't have to go to the bank. You don't have to go to the attic either, because they've got trusted partnerships with your bank, with everybody. So you just say, yeah, send them my bank statements, send them my pay stubs, whatever paperwork, which is, by the way, a big improvement over my last loan experience. We were faxing documents for more than a month. We were on vacation. And they wanted this big bank, you've heard of them, I won't say the name, but we were faxing them stuff from a cruise ship because they needed more information. Not Quicken Loans. No, Rocket Mortgage is easy. In fact, I'll tell you what's great. It took us more than a month to get a loan last time we bought a house 3 years ago. With Rocket Mortgage, it's not going to take months or weeks or days. It's going to take minutes because it's computers. It's all, you can choose the term of the loan. You could choose the rate that you like. They'll do all the work for you behind the scenes, and you could literally do this at an open house, get approved in minutes for a loan that's tailored for your financial situation. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, try it. Just try it. Go to quickenloans.com/techguy and just see what they can do for you. It's really amazing. No salesman will call, no humans. It's all quick, fast, and easy, and it's all online. quickenloans.com/techguy. Rocket Mortgage is an equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030. From Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, the entirely online mortgage solution. We thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. Hey, Chris. How was Svalbard?
It was awesome. I actually want to talk about the trip and show photos. So I have 2 URLs for you to open.
Okay.
One is tfttf.com/sp.
Okay.
That's photos. And another one is a YouTube video, which I think we'll only need the sound from, and it's tfttf.com/beardedseal. And that's not from a sci-fi movie.
Wow. Wow, that is cool.
I think that might actually be a nice kind of thing to listen to when I talk about them.
Okay, I'll play it.
Other than that, it was amazing. The ship is amazing. The crew is amazing. Svalbard is amazing. I've kicked. Okay, there was a guy with us who's a scientist. What does he do? A marine biologist who has such a broad knowledge that I started a podcast with him about polar things.
You have my problem. You can't stop doing podcasts.
If you go to curiouslypolar.com, we've already got it online.
Nice. How fun.
3 episodes already.
Very nice. Good job.
And we're going to record like fun facts about the Arctic and the Antarctic.
Nice. Fun facts about the Arctic and the Antarctic.
Yep.
Yeah, see, I have to really be careful. Fortunately, Lisa just says, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, don't even think about it. Because every time I'm always thinking of new shows I'd like to do.
Of course.
But I have, I'm already doing 10 shows a week. I can't really, I'd have to stop. She basically, the way she does it, she said, well, okay, good, but what show are you going to stop doing? Never mind.
Well, I mean, how many shows do you do personally?
10. 2 a day, 5 days a week.
Okay, I do not do them that frequently.
Yeah, so you can add shows.
I still have a bit of
room for
wiggle
you to
room
add
there.
shows. Yeah,
I have a little bit of wiggle room here.
Good. Chris Marquardt's back from Svalbard. Hey, Chris.
As the rest of the world seems to call it Spitsbergen. Which is the term I knew it under.
Yeah. Svalbard reminds me of that Philip Pullman novel. I can't remember the name of it, but Spitsbergen. I'll take that. It's the closest city to the North Pole.
Well, it's an archipelago that goes from 71 degrees up to 81 degrees northern latitude.
That's not temperature, by the way. That's latitude. Temperature's a little smaller number, I think.
if you look at that on a globe, it's pretty much on the top. So
wow.
The highest up that we were was slightly above 79 degrees. So that's
man.
Well, it's okay. You know, it's sea level. The air is it's not high up in the mountains, so it's
if you're going to tell me it's not that cold because it's a dry cold. Are you going to tell me that?
It wasn't that cold, to be honest. It was most of the time slightly under freezing temperature. The ship was nice and warm on the inside, so whenever you were cold, you could go back inside.
You could warm up.
Beautiful 107-year-old 2-mast schooner. Beautiful, solid steel hull, reinforced, so that it could actually push some ice to the side. It wasn't going to break from that. And in itself has an amazing history. They used to let it freeze in a fjord up there over winter and turn it into a hotel. So
what?
It was a
frozen hotel?
A frozen-in hotel that travelers could, like people on snowmobiles or with dog sleds, could just stop overnight there. That was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, but what about the pictures? What are we talking here? You went there to take pictures, right?
Well, yeah, of course. That was the main purpose. We were there 20 people on the ship plus 5 crew, and we had the most amazing light up there because it is daylight now. From April to I think 4 months long, it's just the sun doesn't go under the horizon.
The land of the midnight sun, we call it.
Yeah, and it's relatively high in the sky, not as low as it was when we were in Lofoten. I'd say 10, 15, 20 degrees above the horizon.
Yeah, so the sun moves. It's not overhead. It's moving. It just never goes below the horizon.
And it doesn't move that far up either. So it was always relatively low, beautiful, very diverse lighting conditions. I mean, that's what I'm looking for as a photographer. I'm looking for some overcast. I'm looking for some bright sunlight. Some of that light is beautiful to showcase those mountains. By the way, Spitsbergen translates to pointy mountains. So you have these very pointy snowed-in mountains with light that hits it slightly from the side and gives it a very interesting contrast. And then we had pretty much all the different kinds of weathers you would need for a very diverse portfolio, from some snow to some fog. We spent a night in front of a glacier in a foggy lagoon, which was just
it's a photographer's dream, isn't it?
It was. But one thing that we went up there for, especially up there for, was wildlife, of course, with their reindeer up there. Even though the Svalbard reindeer look a bit different than Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, they are more fluffy and wider. Lots of birds, walrus, and the seals, which. What I didn't know is they sing at night. Do you want to hear a seal?
Yes, you have some. You put this on YouTube.
I gave you a link before. That's what seals sound like at night. They sing underwater.
This doesn't sound like a seal. It sounds like a bomb or something. It
sounds like a video game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's seals. They do that, and we had a few of those where we could hear them sing overnight. You could hear them through the hull of the ship.
Wow.
And that's probably the origin of the sirens.
Oh.
So people at sea didn't know what it was, and they just gave it.
Oh, not an air raid siren, but the women who would lure sailors on the rocks with their call.
Exactly. And of course, even more important, we saw a polar bear, which was very, very impressive.
Now, I saw your picture of a polar bear. He looked like he was cuddly and rolling around and having fun. Did you go up and pat him?
Things, well, no, of course not. These things are really dangerous. If you go on land, which we did almost every day, you'll have to have a guide with a gun, making sure to keep you safe.
Wait a minute, walking around with you just in case one shows up?
Well, yeah, sure. And our guide was also a marine biologist, Mario Acquarone, an Italian who lives in Norway and who knows the Arctic and the Antarctic so well that I decided to do a podcast together with him. So we are now, it's called Curiously Polar. And I think it should be on iTunes pretty soon. I just kicked that off because it's fun to discuss these things. That was my 3rd time in the Arctic. Definitely not my last time.
I love these. Are those sea lions with the tusks like that?
Those are walrus.
Of course, they're walruses.
Walrus, and thanks to our guide, we were actually able to get really close to them. So he knew exactly how to move and how to behave near them. So we got really close to them to take amazing photos.
They really are amazing. You didn't get that close to the polar bear.
No, we had to shoot that one from the ship. Now, what that polar bear did is it swam through a fjord and then went on land and walked up the snowy side of a hill and then rolled down that hill. And it looked like it was like just having fun, but what we learned is that the polar bears do that to dry their fur. So they roll down snow in order to dry the fur. But it looked really cuddly. But no, you don't really want to be near one. Not really.
Can people see your photos? Have you put them online?
They are online, tfttf.com/sp.
TF.
Is one of the links
and
to go to.
And we'll put a link at our show notes at techguylabs.com. TFTTF, that's short for Tips from the Top Floor, Chris's other podcast.
Yep.
TFTTF.com/SP for Spitzbergen.
SP for Spitzbergen. Spitzbergen.
Got it. All right. Oh, I keep getting your name wrong on this. Here we go. All right. Well, great, Chris. I'm excited. Did you learn any? We have a minute left. Did you learn any tricks or tips that you'd want to pass along to our listeners who are going to visit polar bears?
Well, I think it's really important if you go to a country like that to do not be worried about the weather. It will be changing, and every weather will give you a different kind of photography. Man, so you will bring home, even from foggy days, you will bring home amazing photography.
That's kind of heaven, isn't it?
You have to really, if it's sunlit every single day, you will have very many of the same kind of photos.
Right.
So you want different kinds of weather.
I am going, as you know, I'm going up. Wednesday, I'll be up in the Andes at Machu Picchu. And that's a similar thing where sometimes it's clouds, sometimes it's bright sun. It varies a lot up there because it's so high altitude and the air is so thin. So, well, you do that. You go up to the to Everest, to Kathmandu,
well, just the base camp, not on the top. But
how high is base camp?
Base camp is 17,000 feet, roughly.
I thought 11,000 feet, which is where I'm going.
Oh, that is high too. That is very high too. If you're not used to that,
They say if you can, it'd be really nice if you spent 3 or 4 days acclimating. I said, no, we're going to be in and out. Oh, Lord. Anyway, Chris Marquardt, you'll find out more about him at discoverthetopfloor.com. You think you'll do this again in a year or two?
There is a good chance that this will happen again.
So go there and find out about his other trips and maybe put in a good word for going to Spitsbergen again. And Chris will be back next week. I won't, but Chris will be back next week and talking about digital photography. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dedicate this to my wife. Just brought me some soup. 8888. Ask Leo. I must be getting old. I'm happy when my wife brings me soup, right? Right. Who isn't, right? Sean in Bucks County, PA. Hello, Sean. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, I know about Moore's Law, and I know that Thomas More said you can't go back, but I want to go back. And here's what I need to ask. It's a pretty simple question, and maybe you'll have the answer immediately. I've got a 9-year-old Dell desktop. Loaded with RAM, a great machine, and I got about $3,000 worth of software on it. Haven't used it for that time because I turned and went all Apple after buying my first Apple back in 1976. If I take the disk that came with the Dell, reformat, reinstall XP, will I be able to get updates right up to the end of life?
No, the end of life for XP was 2 years ago, so yes.
I know. I will.
You mean, in other words, if I install XP, will it get updated to April of 2013 or 14, whatever it was?
Exactement.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will. Does anybody know that? Can you go to Microsoft? I'm sure you can get XP Service Pack 2 and download that, and you will want that. You may even have that on your installer. Depends when you got that.
No, I don't think so.
No? All right. So, yeah, you'll want that for sure. The XP really didn't hit its stride until Service Pack 2. And then there's SP3. You know what we do here? Let me go to...
I found it there. I heard last week.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm pretty good then.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the most important thing. And then just remember that you should, be careful with that online because it doesn't have the latest security patches. Although, ironically, Microsoft did end up patching XP not so long ago because of the WannaCry ransomware.
I grabbed it and put it on there, too.
Yeah. So,
okay, my last question. Can I ask you a second quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I have VMware Fusion on my Big Mac Pro. When I run XP, I have on there, but I don't. The XP I want to use on the Dell box. When I run that, it tells me it's time to defrag. However, my boot drive is an SSD. Should I still defrag the XP?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, I can't believe it's telling you that. It isn't. So as it turns out, it's not. I always thought, oh, the last thing you want to do to an SSD is defrag it because, first of all, it doesn't. There's no point in optimizing it. It's a random access device. The whole point of defragging is to make sectors contiguous so it can be read faster, but that's not a problem on an SSD. And SSDs, you do want to worry about excessive wear on any given cell. However, my friend Alan Malventano, writes for PC Perspective, is an SSD guru, has a very interesting little hack that you might like. You don't need to defrag that disk at any particular moment, but if you notice it's starting to slow down, because SSDs do because of something called trim, their garbage collection can be lacking. You can force a trim operation. Even if your operating system doesn't support it, you can effectively force a trim by doing a defrag. It doesn't serve any other optimization purpose, but it may speed up your SSD because you're forced, in effect, by writing into every sector, you're forcing a trim.
Well, I think I knew that. I heard you say it. I don't have to do it. I want to say one last thing to give you kudos, because I worship at the church of Leo Laporte.
Oh, gosh.
The tech guy. And I'm Jewish, so figure that out. I just want to tell you, I'm an old guy. I said I bought my first Apple in '76. And when I heard you give an unsolicited commercial, I won't say the name, for a brand of hearing aids because they work so perfectly with Bluetooth, after my wife hocked me to death, I finally went out and got hearing aids, and I got your brand. And when I talk to people now, or I listen to streaming, and I tell other people, yeah, I'm talking on the phone. How do you do that? And I tell them, they say, oh my gosh, I wish I had that with my hearing aids.
Yeah, isn't it nice? I'll tell you the brand only because people are going to get mad and say, well, tell me. There's Starkey Halos, and I just talked my mom into getting a pair because she's 84 and she wasn't hearing what I said. So
I just got to thank you. Thanks for the advice, and I love listening to your show.
By the way, a little correction. It was Thomas Wolfe who said you can't go home again.
Oh, did I say Thomas Mann? Oh.
Yeah, but no, you said Thomas More, who very famously said, "Whoever loveth me, loveth my hound."
Oh,
so
geez,
that's also a useful quote.
Man. Okay, thanks a lot, Leo.
Gordon Moore, of course, Moore's Law, which I'm glad you brought that up, because some people say at the end of times with Moore's Law, but Gordon Moore, 40 years ago, is one of the founders of Intel, predicted that the number of transistors, now this is a little weird, but I'll explain what it means. The number of transistors on a chip would, thanks to advancing technology, double every 18 months, every year and a half. You could almost say, it's very close, you could almost say that the power of a microprocessor would double every 18 months. And amazingly enough, it has, which is one of the reasons computers are so remarkably powerful these days. Technology has advanced at roughly that pace. But in order to do that, you had to micro-miniaturize and get smaller and smaller and smaller. And our chips today are very close to as small as you can get. Not the chips, but the wires. There aren't really wires. The traces, the lines connecting these hundreds of millions of transmitters on a chip are at this point where they're only a few molecules wide. They are so small, you can't get smaller than one molecule wide. So they're desperately trying to find new ways. One of the ways is 3D chips. Intel's been working on that. But the process now, these chip processes, they're down to 15 nanometers, which is just remarkable. So some have said, and I'm not sure if this is the case, that Moore's Law is inevitably going to stop or at least slow down. We won't see doubling every 18 months. And I guess that's kind of true. I mean, that 9-year-old computer of yours is not probably a whole lot slower than a modern computer. If it's slower, it's because of XP and Vista more than anything else. I would say certainly over the last 3 or 4 years, processors haven't made the great leaps and bounds in processing. The last Intel chip upgrade maybe added 5% in speed, not more than that. And that's good news. It means you don't have to upgrade your computer as fast. It'll last a lot longer. Moving on to Nabil in Gardendale, California. Hi, Nabil.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well.
For taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I have a MacBook Air, and it's just not turning on for any reason.
You can't. So you press and hold it, and nothing will happen.
Yeah, and I even have it on the charger, and it's showing me that it's charging. And I think it might be maybe it's the keyboard. No,
it's almost certainly the battery. How old is it?
It's a 2011.
Yeah, that's about right. So that's 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. The batteries have a limited number of discharge cycles, usually around 500. So at that point, when the battery can't charge, believe it or not, on most computers, it can't turn on, even when it's plugged in, because the power is going through the battery. So, in fact, if you could remove the battery, I know you can't because it's a MacBook Air, but if you could remove the battery, it would probably work. That's a fix. A lot of older PC laptops, you just take the battery out, keep it plugged in, and it works. The battery is, in effect, blocking power. Now, the good news is Apple will replace that battery. If you can actually open an Air, there's just screws all around the edges and look inside, but you probably should bring it to the Apple store and have them replace it. I don't think you're too far away from one. So, and I think it's around $100 for a battery replacement.
Oh, that's not too bad. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It is a good idea to bring it there anyway, because if it is the keyboard or something else, they'll tell you. The nice thing about Apple's support is really good. They will tell you. They'll say, well, it could be this, it could be that. And they'll usually ask you to authorize the least expensive repair. And then they say, and if it's more than that, we'll call you. 8888 Ask Leo, another hour to come, and we will record more calls after the show for next week for my vacation. Don't forget the website. We put all the notes there, techguylabs.com. It's a great idea to do an SMC reset, but how can he do it if it doesn't turn on? You can't reset the SMC or the PRAM if when you press the power button it doesn't come on. Oh, replace the SMC chip. Yeah, I don't think so. It won't turn on, so you can't do a PRAM or SMC reset. You understand that, right? Okay. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches, augmented reality, virtual reality, real reality. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada and outside that area. You can still reach us if you've got a VoIP solution that will call a landline, whatever that is. Remember landlines? I think we've passed 50% now. This must terrify phone companies. 50% of Americans, I think it's even a little more than that, no longer have phones in their home. They don't have landline phones. They have cell phones. 5 years, 10 years from now, kids will go, what? What's a landline? What do you mean by that? Wait a minute, your phone was connected to the wall? What? How did you take it with you? We didn't. Well, what good is that? And how can you tell what the weather is or chat with your friends? We didn't. Oh, so primitive in those days. Andy, Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Andy.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. Hey, so I'm trying to do Facebook Live, and we're trying to use multiple cameras. I've got 2 or 3 digital SLR cameras, Canon Rebel, and I purchased a HDMI switcher that accepts, 5 HDMI sources. But when we hook everything up, and basically what I'm doing is I'm facing the phone camera to a monitor, so it's actually picking up the switcher feeds as they go into the monitor to try to create a more professional look. But I get a delay every time we switch from HDMI port to port.
So HDMI switcher. So you're trying to kind of simulate a television station. An HDMI switcher is not the same thing as the switchers you'll see in TV stations. I remember on talk about changing times when we were doing Tech TV, the cable channel. We had redundant control rooms. This is because Paul Allen, the Microsoft billionaire, was funding it. We had 2 control rooms, each of which cost roughly $1 million to build. And a big part of that expense was a great big, you've seen them on TV, Grass Valley switcher, one of those things with the T-bar that you slide up. And, anytime they show Backstage at The Tonight Show or whatever, or on Saturday Night Live, you'll see those big Grass Valley switchers. One of the things television switchers do is they switch instantly. And an HDMI switcher isn't really designed to do that. It takes a second to kind of grab the signal. It's very leisurely. Grab the signal and then put the signal on the screen. And there's a variety of technical reasons for this, but anything that's going to do switching in real time is going to be much more expensive. We use a device that's more capable than the $1 million Grass Valley console to do my switching here. I can switch very quickly just by typing on a keyboard. And that switcher is called a TriCaster. Now, we have a fancy one, which is, I think, $35,000, but you can get less expensive ones. I would look, if you want to do this, you're going to probably want to get the least expensive one, right? Is this for a church?
Yeah, it's for, we're trying to do some public service stuff.
Okay.
And interact with.
You need a television switcher. Hardware switchers are actually gotten a lot less expensive. There's a company called Blackmagic that makes practically consumer-priced hardware switchers for video, and they are priced inexpensively, but they work very, very well. So it's blackmagicdesign.com. And then what is the name of there are a variety of the ATEM, I think the ATEM switchers are their inexpensive kind of TV production studios. There's one for under $1,000. There's even one for $600. Connect cameras to switchers. Well, that's not quite it. But anyway, go take a look at the ATEM line. The other way you could do it is a lot cheaper. It's actually how I do YouTube live video. It's a camera from a company called Livestream, which specializes in live streaming. They make something called the Mevo, M-E-V-O, and this is actually what I use. The Mevo's kind of clever. It's one camera, but it is a 4K camera, which means it's in effect 4 1080p pictures that you can switch between. We're seeing this a lot. There's drones that use these 4K cameras, and Nest just announced its new in-home camera that's 4K. Not because you want 4K. You wouldn't want to stream 4K over your Wi-Fi. It'd kill your Wi-Fi. But because it's such a high-resolution camera, you can take a small, in effect, crop it, take a smaller portion of it, and still get 1080p high-def video. So that's what the Mevo does. The Mevo has a nice array microphone, but you probably are going to want to use an external microphone. Or external audio input. And the best thing of all is this is controlled by an iPhone or an iPad. So you can see the overall picture, and then you can see the picture within picture and move it around with your finger. You can also put face recognition on it. It'll follow a performer around, which is really cool. This is a fantastic solution. It's about as easy as it can be. I'm trying to remember what we paid for it. I think it was well under $500. Yeah, it's $399.99. So let's say $400. They can keep the extra penny. So that's another alternative. So you're either going to go, if you want to use your DSLRs, you're going to go out and you're going to get a real video switcher. The ATEMs from Blackmagic are about as inexpensive as you get, and Blackmagic really is good stuff. And if you don't want to go out and buy a hardware switcher to use all that gear you just described, I'm really liking the Mevo cam. That's what I use for my Facebook live streaming. Andy, Los Angeles. Oops. Andy's gone. How about Mary in East Los Angeles?
Hi. You practically answered my question by just telling me what camera to get. I haven't got the computer yet, and it basically I decided, and obviously the name of my cookbook, the Totally Broke Cookbook, is going to be interactive.
I'm getting that cookbook. The Totally Broke Cookbook.
How to live from the middle of the month to the end.
Does it mostly ramen or what?
No, beans and a can opener is your basic
beans
menu.
I like beans.
Right, and a
like
can opener, a little bit of spaghetti, and you have somewhere between minestrone, bean and spaghetti soup. I don't know, but I know there's other people that could contribute. So I want it to be sort of a, help me.
So you want to do videos of you cooking?
No, because Martha Stewart did that. No, I want to do something that has videos like YouTube, plus like something written down for people of my age. I'm 67, and I like something in the hand. So I want to sell it, but I also want to have other people that are younger to be able to contribute, sort of like a multimedia cookbook.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
How can I help you? Does that Mevo do what you need it to do?
Whoopi, I did it.
Yeah.
She said somebody has to be out there that can make a whole menu out of what you can get at a bodega. And I'm adding, free food from the government. But I want to know how to do it because I'm not that good at it.
When you get a computer, and this works, by the way, on your phone or your iPad as well as a computer, there's a wonderful program for cooking. I think it's the best cooking program out there. It's called Paprika.
Okay.
Now, there are a few reasons why I love Paprika. First of all, any good cookbook menu program should have the ability to make a menu, the ability to make a recipe out of stuff you have in the pantry, the ability to make a shopping list, those kinds of things. And Paprika does this, but it's also a great cookbook. It's a recipe manager because what Paprika will do is it has a browser built in, and there's so many great recipes online. You surf to a site and you say, save this recipe to my cookbook, and it figures out what the ingredients are, it figures out what the instructions are, divides it all up. It's brilliant. Highly recommend Paprika. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 ask Leo. Yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I'm flying to Peru, going to go up to the old Inca ruins, Machu Picchu. And there's a little geeky thing that I'm going to do. Do you remember an app called Foursquare? It was very popular a few years ago, made its debut in Austin at South by Southwest. It was one of those apps where you check in to somewhere. And it was kind of fun because if you checked in a bunch of times, you'd become the mayor of that place. And, it was just fun. They made a game out of it. I did it for years. In fact, I was doing it when I was at Machu Picchu 4 years ago. So I became the mayor of the ancient Incan ruins of Machu Picchu. Very proud moment. That's as good as it gets for me. And by the way, since not a lot of people, geeks, go up there, I guess, with playing Foursquare, I was the mayor for a couple of months, but I was very disheartened because 2 months later, I'm long back, home. I'm no longer the mayor. Somebody took my crown. However, I'm going back again. And this time, I'm checking in 3 or 4 times from the moment I get up to the moment I leave. And not only am I getting that mayorship back, but I'm figuring since nobody uses Foursquare anymore, I have a shot at being a permanent mayor of Machu Picchu, the ancient Inca ruins. So that's my goal in life. Patrick Delahanty, who works with me and happens to be the mayor of our studios, curse him, says to be a sworn mayor, you need to check in at least twice on 2 separate days within 30 or 60 days of each other. I can do that, Patrick. And don't I get benefit from being a previous mayor, like I'm an incumbent, Oh, I don't know. It'll be one of those things. I'll come back and somebody will take it away from me again. But I'm going to try. Let's go to another. I am not the mayor of Litchfield Park, Florida, but Andy might be. Hi, Andy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Should I call you Mayor? Or...
Mr. Mayor. I'll let you know.
Okay, very good. Hey, my question, first of all, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool PC user.
Okie dokie.
And I have an iPhone. It's an iPhone SE.
Okay.
And I've been texting my nephew occasionally, but I thought I'd find a way to text from my PC. And I found I can do that by entering his number, and since he's a Verizon user.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would type vtext.com, right, and it would go off as a text message.
Yeah, so you're doing that in your email program.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, all at this point anyway, I imagine this will be phased out at some point, but all the carriers have email addresses that you can use for emailing text messages. I think a lot of people don't know that. However, it's not a two-way street, is it?
No, my quandary was when the message came back, it went to my cell phone.
Right.
I was confused.
Well, unfortunately, Apple, in their infinite wisdom, does not make... Not only do they not make a Windows program, a version of messages, they don't make a desktop version. They don't do anything for PCs for messages. You can't put it on an Android phone. So Messages is Apple's way of really kind of encouraging you to get an iPhone. It would be lovely if they on the Mac they have desktop messages, and you can just as and I think for me that's a really great feature, and I prefer to use text messaging apps that have desktop apps, because then I can read my messages. If it's easier to type them often, I can paste in stuff. So I love that. I use Google Hangouts, which is both Apple, iOS, and Android, and has a Chrome plugin, so I can use that on my desktop. But you'd have to convince your nephew to stop using Apple's text messaging and use some other program. WhatsApp will let you do this. Telegram, one of my favorite messaging apps, Telegram will let you do this. But again, it only works if everybody's using that app. And on iOS, almost everybody just said, messages, it's great. But there's no way to, as far as I know, there's no way to use messages, Apple's messages, on a Windows PC.
Yeah, it works fine. I was just curious.
You can email it, but you can't do anything else. Now, Facebook Messenger. Maybe a lot of people have Facebook and use Messenger. I use Facebook Messenger. You can do that on your browser as well as on your mobile device.
Oh, it's not a problem. It was just an observation.
Yeah. It's a little frustrating. Well, see, maybe it doesn't bother you. You tapped a little bit of a nerve for me, because frankly, I'm mad at Apple that they don't make messages for Android and Windows.
Can I tell you another thing why I'm mad at Apple?
Certainly.
Well, I was trying to transition as much as I can to my cell phone, and I don't remember what I was doing with iTunes after maybe loading an update or something like that, and they said, "Oh, we noticed that you're using some calendar program. How would you like your calendar data to be copied to the iPhone?" And I said, "Oh, that's great. That way I can get get notifications on my PC and on my iPhone." And so I said, "Sure, let's do that." And what Mr. Apple means when they say copy, they don't mean copy. They mean move.
Yeah.
Because all my
they disappeared?
Items disappeared from my PC and jumped on my phone.
That's not good behavior at all. And in fact, they don't mean move. At best, they mean synchronize. Did you not have any contacts on your iPhone at all?
Oh, no. My only concern was my calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your calendar. Did you have appointments on your iPhone?
No.
Okay, so what Apple did, in its infinite wisdom, is decided that blank calendar on your iPhone, because it was on an Apple device, was the main calendar. And all those appointments on your Windows machine, you can't be serious about those. They're on a Windows machine. And it's synchronized. Yeah, it's synchronized a blank calendar to your Windows machine.
It did. It did great.
Now, what I would expect is you could find what Windows, I think, usually does with the calendar is there are many calendars. There's a Windows calendar. There's other calendars as well. So look in the settings of your calendar app, and it may mean I would expect your appointments are still there. They're just in other calendars. You know, you can have multiple calendars displayed. And what you're seeing is just the iPhone calendars. Look, there's usually an events calendar, as I remember, on Windows, and some other calendars. And I hope they're still there, because otherwise that's extraordinarily bad behavior. No program should be designed to delete data. Your data. Ever. That's just, it's poor behavior. And you see it, and you see it most often in these situations where things are synchronizing, and the computer is stupid, and it makes the wrong decision. Oh, I'm going to synchronize air instead of synchronizing data. I'm just going to fill your computer with air. But that's dopey. And it's practically a golden rule of computing. You know, it's like the Hippocratic Oath. Doctors say, first do no harm. Programmers first delete no data. That's the rule. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Very annoying. I agree with you. That is bad behavior. I'm flying to Miami. Hello, Will. Leo Laporte. Oh, it's the wrong song. They sampled Miami by Will Smith for this song. Will Smith sampled this song for Miami. I hate it when that happens. This is the original. What's this song? The Whispers. And the beat goes, I should have known that. The Whispers. I'm sorry. Hey, that's Michael Cozio. He is good. He is our musical director, and he knows his music. Did you get the new Sgt. Pepper release, Michael? Oh, man. It's a little pricey. I have bought that album. The Beatles' Sgt. Pepper came out 50 years ago, June 2nd. And I bought the album then. Well, probably not then. I was 10 years old. But I bought the album pretty quick after that. Probably have bought I probably bought the vinyl album once or twice. The cassette. I might have bought the 8-track. Definitely bought the CD several times. I've given the Beatles so much money. I even bought, this was so cool. I actually had to find it on eBay. They made a metal green apple that had where the stem of the apple was attached to a USB key. You pull it out of the apple, and on that were the 2009 remasters at high quality 24-bit audio. And, well, I had to have that. So one more time, they're now selling the 50th anniversary edition of Sgt. Pepper, but I have to say this is the one to get because it has a Blu-ray and a regular DVD and then 4 CDs. One CD is the original mono mix as it was released in the UK. That was the mix the Beatles made. In those days, in 1967, especially in England, stereo wasn't all that, popular. So they mixed it mono. And then very hastily for release in the U.S., somebody, not the Beatles weren't even there, they were gone, made a very poor stereo remix that was sold in the U.S. So Beatles fans, serious Beatles, experts, I think prefer the mono mix. Well, what happened is for this 50th anniversary, the Beatles approached George Martin, the original producer's son, Giles, and said, would you help us make a real stereo mix, a better stereo mix, going back to the original tapes? And he remixed it down. So there's the original mono version, a new stereo remix is beautiful. Because the way the Beatles had to work in the old days, have you ever heard of a thing called a tape recorder? In the old days, before CDs and digital recording, we recorded audio onto, this long strip of plastic with magnetic particles in it called a tape, and it was on a reel, and the tape would go over a magnetized head, and the audio would be somehow magically put through that head so it would orient the magnetic particles in such a way that when you played it back, you could hear the sound again. I know, it sounds crazy, but that's how we did it. And in those days, they only had 4 tracks. That was the fanciest new technology the Beatles got in Abbey Road. They've only had 4 things you could record on one of those tapes. And that was like a 1-inch tape with 4 tracks on it. So there are many more than 4 tracks. If you listen to Sgt. Pepper, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? I mean, there's not just the singing and the instruments. There's people and weird sounds and calliopes and backwards talking and all sorts of stuff. This is a very avant-garde album. So the way they did it is they'd record 4 tracks, then they'd mix it all down to one of those tracks. They'd record 3 more, then mix those down on one of those tracks. By the time you got the album, that one track, that mono track, had been overdubbed, re-recorded many times, 4, sometimes 5, and that means it didn't sound very good. So what Giles Martin did, I was really pleased to hear this. He went back to the original. They saved, thank goodness, they saved everything. And they had all the original recordings, some of them even in stereo, and they were able to take those. So the sound is much more pristine. It really sounds good. And as I think that's one of the greatest albums of all time, deserved its remix. So yeah, it's like $120 on Amazon. It's a nice package. I think it was worth it. One more time. I am not buying this album again, though. How many times have you bought Star Wars? You know, a VHS, what I used to have an optical disc of that, right? Then a DVD, then a Blu-ray, and then you'll get the UHD Blu-ray. The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. How many times have you bought that? They got us, don't they? They get us. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. Thank you for your patience while I gas on. John in Anaheim. I appreciate it. Welcome.
Hi, Leo. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the advice on the drones. I was asking for I'm in real estate and taking pictures of the building.
Did you end up getting one?
Well, I haven't gotten the expensive one yet. I've been still toying around with the little $50
Good man. Yeah, that's the one you want to lose.
Yeah, the first time I even got it fired up, I kind of flew it into a wall, so that was a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. It's good practice with the cheap one because you will crash it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm calling back on the other. I'm looking also to get a camera. So
you mean for the drone?
No.
Oh, okay.
For on the ground level. So we'd be using the drone for aerial photos.
And I would recommend getting a drone like the DJI that has a camera. That's always the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. But I understand. So you want a still camera for the ground level shots.
For the ground level shot, but I would also be using it for whenever I travel or I go on vacation and things like that. And I was looking online, and I really don't know too much about cameras, but I did notice that I was looking at the Nikon D3400.
Very nice. Good choice.
Really, because I saw a lot of good reviews on it. That was kind of recommended online, but I was.
Yeah, that's a fairly fancy camera. So you're getting what's called an interchangeable lens or DSLR camera. Nikon and Canon are the 2 big companies that make DSLRs. And the 3400 is an excellent starting point, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because Nikon makes great glass. That's what we call that's what we pros call the lenses. They make great glass. They have very good technology. That one, by the way, shoots nice HD video as well, and I think that would save you buying a video camera.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't be a better choice. And remember, you don't really, for the realty pictures, don't need the best quality because you're going to post them on a website. You're not making giant billboards, I think, right?
No, but I just decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I mean, might as well use it for work and vacation. Whenever I travel. And it's the negative on DSLRs, and I'm bringing a Canon DSLR on my vacation. The negative is they're big and heavy, but this one is fairly small, compact, easy to use. It is a great kind of starter DSLR. Canon makes the EOS Rebel, which is roughly the same, $400 or $500 price point. The only reason I mention that is when you get Nikon, you're now saying, I'm going to buy Nikon lenses. When you get Canon, you're going to buy Canon lenses. You kind of buy into that system. And if you outgrow, the nice thing is if you outgrow that camera, those lenses will work on a better Nikon camera. In fact, really, the lens is the most important part of your system. The technology in the body is getting upgraded every few years all the time.
So right now you got 24 megapixels on this. In a couple of years, you'll have 30 or 40 megapixels. You'll get a new body, but those lenses, glass is glass. The optics, if they're good optics, will still work very well in a newer body. So really think of the investment here. The thing that's going to be a long-term purchase is the lens. And I say that because lenses can get very expensive.
Okay. Now, would you, in regards to like Canon versus Nikon, do you have a preference? Or
well, I have a preference. I use Canon, but it's not based on fact. Nikons are generally faster focusing, faster burst rate. I think the Nikon glass is superb. I don't think, truthfully, there's much of a difference. It's like Mac or PC. This is a great, very nicely priced entry-level DSLR that will serve you well for years, and those lenses will serve you for even longer. You may be handing those down. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, as long as we're talking video, maybe I might mention our sponsor, Wistia, the video hosting platform for business. Now, if you're in business, you have a nice, classy business, you probably don't have a, joe@aol.com email address, right? You register your domain name. You make your email match your business, right? Well, why would you post your video on somebody else's hosting site, right? You should be doing it on Wistia. Wistia designed for a couple of reasons. One, it's designed for business. And when you put your video on Wistia, the player is branded. It's your company's video. It's not some other company's video. There's no ads on it or anything like that. Plus, Wistia knows you're using these videos for marketing and training and so forth, and they make it very easy to see how people use those videos. You get all sorts of analytics you can't get anywhere else. You could get heat maps to see what they're looking at, trend graphs, engagement graphs. You can capture email addresses within the video. That is a nice feature. And it ties in with your existing marketing automation software. Use Marketo. It works with that. Wistia's flexible video player will match your brand. You can use video throughout your business. They've got great support. What else can I tell you about them? I mean, this is a really great way to do video. Oh, Starbucks uses it. HubSpot, the big marketing company, uses it. Cirque du Soleil uses it. I mean, okay? 300,000 businesses use Wistia. I had never heard of it. Maybe you've never heard of it. Now I know. Now I'm a believer. You'll increase visibility. You'll boost conversion rates. You'll power your sales team with Wistia. W-I-S-T-I-A. Here's the best part. First 3 videos free. Oh, and they have great materials to help you make a video. So if you have not done videos before, whether it's a realty video, of a drone, you're not going to put that on YouTube. You want to put that on your website with your platform and your player. You want Wistia. First 3 videos free. You also get advanced video analytics. You get all the features and integrations built with business in mind. I think this is a great product. I should have told this guy about it. Darn it, he's doing realty video, right? Wistia, W-I-S-T-I-A.com. Business, built for business. Last segment of the day before I head out, but I am going to keep recording. If you're on the line, hang on the line. We still have a few calls to record for next week's show. We're going to give you next week's shows. We're going to do all new shows next week. We'll be recording some calls right after the show today for that. And then I should mention that the following week, so that'll be June 17th and 18th, it will be on June 17th, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, will be hosting the show. So get your home theater questions ready. And the next day, Jason Snell, my old friend, former editorial director at IDG. He was the editor-in-chief of Macworld Magazine, a Mac guy, a Windows guy. He knows everything about technology. In fact, frankly, he's too good. I shouldn't let him fill in, but I'm going to. If you've got questions for Jason, he'll be here on the 18th of June. And then I'll be back after that. Back to the phones we go. Let's see. Percy is next from Crystal River, Florida. Hi, Percy.
Hey, how's it going, Leo?
It's going great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I love listening to you. You're a pretty smart guy there.
Well, I know about that, but fortunately we have a lot of smart listeners who help me out from time to time.
Right? I got a question for you about the Epson fast photo scanner that you had mentioned.
It's a sponsor. I've got to give you a disclaimer. The Federal Trade Commission will yell at me. Yeah, they're a sponsor of the show. I have one right here, actually.
does it copy from negatives?
No. It's really designed for prints. Let me get it out here. Oh, I got it right here. So the idea is, we've all got shoe boxes full of photos, and so the idea is this has a very good sheet feeder, and you can literally stack 100 photos in the sheet feeder, and press go, and it'll just go foop 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 foop. So it's for people who have a lot of prints and they want to get them digital, and it does a lot of automatic stuff like cleaning up the picture and so forth. The software is very good, designed specifically for that. Unfortunately, it's not a negative scanner, and the reason is that's a very different technology. So if you think about a scanner like the Fast Photo or any scanner, the way they scan is they bounce light off a photo and into a camera. So the camera's on the same side as the light. To scan slides or negatives, it's the exact opposite. The camera's on one side and the light has to shine through the negative into the camera, just like a projector does. So typically, scanners that do negatives do not do prints and vice versa. Now, there are exceptions. In fact, Epson themselves makes, or at least used to, the Perfection scanners that do both. They have a light in the lid and a light underneath. And I guess they'd have to have a camera in both places. I'm not sure how they do that. Maybe they use a mirror. But so there are scanners you can buy that do both documents, prints, and negatives and slides. But that's kind of specialized. So you have to make sure if you buy a scanner that you do that. And truthfully, if you're going to buy a negative or a slide scanner, you could spend a lot of money. I mean, thousands of dollars, because if you send a slide or a negative to a lab or a printing office, when I shoot film, I occasionally shoot film, and most modern photographers, when they shoot film, they will send it off to get developed, which produces a negative. But before they get it back, the people who do the development will then scan the negatives and send back a digital copy of it, a CD. That is almost always the best way to do it, because then you can put it in Photoshop, so you get the benefits of film, but the convenience of digital technology. When that's the case, they use very high-speed Polaroid and others. I don't know if Polaroid still makes them. They've kind of had their business isn't real good anymore. A number of companies. Nikon makes actually a very good slide scanner. A lot of companies make them, but they're thousands of dollars. Scooter X has an Epson. It's a Perfection, right? The V600. It does slides and transparencies. So there you go. Epson V600. That's a more consumer priced, although still, I think, expensive photo scanner. Let me see what the price is. Yeah, that's not too bad. $230. It looks like a flatbed scanner, but it's designed for doing the slides as well as the prints. Thank you, Scooter X, one of our great chat mods. Actually, a couple of people in the chat room use that and say they really like it. The Epson Perfection V600, and I guess I should probably say one more time, and Epson is a sponsor of the show, and we love them for that. Lynn in Thousand Oaks, California. Hi, Lynn.
Hello there.
Hello.
Yes?
Welcome.
Thank you. I have a simple question, I think, but I've had a hard time getting an answer even from Microsoft. And that was, I have the old XP, the 2002.
Yeah.
And so
Hello. Hello. Oh, did I lose you? Is it me? I think her phone dropped out. But thank you, Kim Schaffer, who wrote down her question. She says she has an XP computer, and she wants to know if she can get the WannaCry patch. We were actually just talking about that earlier. Microsoft said a couple of years ago, that's it. No more fixes for security flaws in XP. We don't care what happens to you. You're on your own, buddy. And really, that was a message more to convince people like you to get a new computer and a new operating system. What's interesting, they patched it for WannaCry. Even though they said they never would, they did. That may not be necessary, because we've looked at the infection rates of Windows PCs with WannaCry. WannaCry is this nasty spyware, ransomware, really, that came out a couple of weeks ago and infected, at last count, I think 300,000 computers worldwide. it turned out 98% of the computers infected were Windows 7 computers. Not that there aren't a lot of XP computers out there. There are. But maybe there's something about XP or the way they operate. Even though support ended for XP 3 years ago, Microsoft did unprecedentedly release a patch. So, how do you get it? Well, let me see. I've Googled Windows XP WannaCry patch. And, yeah, good luck finding it. Good luck finding it. They said they released a patch, and I'm just trying to find a link. It may be that you just run Windows Update and it will actually come in. It should. I'm looking at the Windows Security blog. Customer guidance for WannaCrypt attacks. WannaCrypt is an alternate name for WannaCry. I guess Microsoft Security Bulletin MS 17-010. I'll tell you what, I will put this post, this cryptic post, up on the show notes at techguylabs.com, and you can read it. For more modern versions of Windows, they've updated the malicious software removal tool. There are other posts as well. Gosh, Microsoft, you don't make it easy. I guess the idea is, well, we'll patch it, but we won't let you know where or how. Yeah, there we go. We got a link. So we'll put that. It's a long link, a really long link. We'll put that in the show notes at techguylabs.com. There's the customer guidance for WannaCrypt attacks, and then there's an actual security patch from answers.microsoft.com and where you can get it. Thank you, Michael Cozio. Thank you, Kim Schaffer. Most of all, thank you for being here. I'll be back in a couple of weeks after vacation, but we've got fresh shows for you next 2 weeks. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Month. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts. For this show, we talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guy show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.